Good morning, everybody. How are we doing this lovely Sunday morning? My name is Tim Wells. I'm the current president of the Alumni Board. I wanted to thank all of you for being here today. It's great to see so many happy faces and so many wonderful families. I know my wife and daughter and child-to-be are here, so we're thrilled to share this with all of you. I will be brief because you're not here to hear me speak. But I wanted to first ask any new or first-time attendees to stand up and introduce yourself, embarrass yourself. We know there's a couple here, so feel free to stand up. Here we go. Andrew from class of 11, thank you for being here. Perfect. Thank you all for being here. First note I wanted to make was recently a handful of us were actually in this room for the annual tradition of our phone-a-thon. Being part of this board, there are several niceties. There are also some responsibilities. We ask everyone to give back in some way, and one of those great ways that we can give back is to come here, make a few phone calls, eat some Imo's Pizza, and connect with some of our classmates. We actually had 40 classes were asked to attend their phone-a-thon in the month of November. 31 of those came here to the SLUH Commons and did their phone-a-thon. So thank you for all of you who were able to make it. Of the 9 who didn't, 2 of them actually don't have any active members, so we're working on that in terms of the Alumni Board. And 3 deferred until the February Frenzy, which you'll be hearing more about as the year progresses. So they are going to be coming on board. But we got 286 alumni who pledged over $90,000. In fact, it was $90,129.99. And you might ask, who would give 99 cents? I'll take the blame for that because I was actually the class of 1999, and our pledge goal was to have everybody give at least $19.99. A handful of people took us up on that offer. So it doesn't matter how much they give, it's that they give, it's that they're involved, it's that they care for the reasons that we are here today, that this place is so wonderful. So thanks to any and all who were able to give. We had over 1,200 handwritten notes sent out to alums, either those who pledged or those who we couldn't connect with. We didn't have a good phone number or they didn't answer when we called. So 1,200 handwritten notes went out. And again, that's just a way that we try and reconnect with those who are giving back to this great institution. We had 104 people volunteer to come and make phone calls. So a great response. Just want to thank all of you for those of you who gave of your time. Just recently, for those of you that attended Mass, you heard Joe Laramie, class of 96, give a wonderful Mass. So thank you to Joe for that. We now have the pleasure of having Joe here to speak. He's going to recount, his time, obviously within the halls. The halls have changed a little bit, but the spirit's still there. He's also going to tell you a little bit about what he's doing in terms of the White House retreat. I have a little bio here that I've been asked to read. So I'll go through this quickly and then we'll get Joe up here. Father Joe grew up in Florissant, graduated from SLUH in '96, as I mentioned, entered the Archdiocesan Seminary, and after completing his undergraduate studies as a seminarian, entered the Jesuit novitiate in 2000. As a Jesuit scholastic, he studied theology and Spanish at Loyola University in Chicago, where he took improv classes at the famous Second City Comedy Club. He taught at Regis Jesuit High School in Denver as a Jesuit scholastic before moving to Boston to complete his theology studies at Boston College. He was ordained in 2011. He's done much in his career as a Jesuit priest, including work as a missionary in Belize, leading pilgrims on a journey along the Camino de Santiago in northern Spain, and leading the pastoral office at Rockhurst High School in Kansas City. This past summer, he was named to the staff of the White House Retreat Center here in town, and that is what he is here to talk to us about today. So without further ado, I will welcome Father Joe Laramie to the stage.
Tim, thanks so much. And yeah, great to be back. Certainly continue eating, drinking, enjoying the fine brunch here in the SLUH Commons. So I have a fancy PowerPoint presentation because everybody loves PowerPoint. So I'm going to go through a few highlights of the examination of conscience. So a prayer from St. Ignatius that probably we're all a little bit familiar with, but to reflect on that, and even we're going to do it. So we'll take a couple minutes while we're eating, drinking, to pray as well. So again, great to be back here. I've seen some SLUH High boys at White House Retreat. The junior retreat is something that still happens there. Raise your hand if you've ever been to White House in any form for high school retreat or, oh, terrific. Okay, almost all the guys. That's great. So they had, they had a retreat there just this past Thanksgiving, and it was, one of these like blast from the past moments because like Mrs. Kissel is there leading this group. I was like, wait, I had you for class. I see Matt Shudo. Wow, Matt, I had you for class. And the greatest decision I ever made at SLUH High was quitting freshman football. And you were coaching because you were a fine coach, but I was a terrible player. And it opened up some opportunities for me to do theater and prep news instead of, slugging it out in the weight room to be the fourth starter as the left guard on freshman football. So a lot of fun seeing SLUH High kids around our place and to, now be a part of that community as a Jesuit, as a priest. We have, some fancy slides on PowerPoint. Joe, how do I advance this, or how does this work? Okay, where are you? There you are. Hey, Joe. All right. Wow, I feel like I'm on the Colbert Show or something. I got like a sidekick. This is great. So the next slide is, just to help you think about those beautiful banks of the Mississippi River. There's a fall shot there. So the fall leaves, pretty time of year. We have men's and women's retreats year round. So currently we have about 75% of our retreats are for men, but we have 25% for women, and that's going to be a growing number, I suspect, in the coming years. So briefly, if you've not been, we give 3-day preached retreats. One of the Jesuits gives a number of talks on the spiritual exercises of St. Ignatius. It's in silence, so if you come with your friends, you can just, do those like friendly nods towards them. And if you come with enemies, then, hey, it could be a time for healing because you don't have to talk to them during those days. A little winter shot there, and then we'll go back to the examen, heart to heart. So my heart speaking to Christ's heart, his heart speaking to mine. And so Mary, our mother, her immaculate heart as our guide and friend. And, what a beautiful image we have here. Back in the day when I was here, we had all of our masses in the gym, which, hey, the gym's a nice spot, but Cy Commons, I got to say, probably a little bit better than mass in the gym. So the examination of conscience, prayer of St. Ignatius. And I was at Loyola, Spain in October for a great trip. I think I have a little shot of the Loyola Cathedral and a statue of St. Ignatius. So this is him right after the cannonball wound. So in the battle, Ignatius hit by the cannonball. The French soldiers salute his bravery and then gently load him onto a stretcher, basically to be brought back to his family castle where he can die in peace. Nobody expected him to recover. Okay, so 2 images, cannonball wound and medieval medicine. So, reflect on that for a moment. They didn't expect him to live, okay? We're going to bring you back home so you can die in peace in your family castle. Well, Ignatius, as you know, over a period of weeks and months, slowly recovers, kind of to everyone's great surprise. During his time there, he asks for books about knights and dragons, damsels in distress, and his brother says, hey, look, the library's a little bit thin. All we have is a book on lives of the saints. And Ignatius is like, well, all right, at least it's something. So cracks open the book of Lives of the Saints, another one on the life of Christ. And, really the birth of Ignatian spirituality of, all of our Jesuit schools are in that room as he's pondering the lives of the saints and looking at his own life, looking at the life of Christ, looking at his own life. He sees that he had spent the last several years as a servant of the King of Spain, And hey, nothing wrong with that, King of Spain. But what about serving Christ the King more directly, more completely? What would that be like? Okay, instead of going out to be a knight to find glory and honor, well, what if I live my life more like the saints to give Christ the glory, Christ the honor? And yeah, Loyola Basilica there, kind of a picturesque shot. So yeah, beautiful for me to be there. So there's now a chapel, basically in Ignatius's old bedroom. So suffering and praying and reflecting on his life, that's now a chapel. And so we got to have Mass there as part of this pilgrimage group that I was with. The examination of conscience, really, again, the roots so much in that experience of Ignatius. Reflecting on my life, looking at how God has been at work. Okay, it could be in my whole life, but even to break it up into smaller chunks. So how about just this week? How about just this day, these 24 hours? How has God been at work in my life? It's something that can be done over 5 to 15 minutes, okay? It doesn't have to be a huge chunk of time, okay? 5 or 15 minutes. Ignatius tells the Jesuit order, us, me, okay, fellas, twice a day, I want you to do this prayer, okay? No matter how busy you are, okay? You're teaching, preaching, grading freshman quizzes, coaching. Those are all fine things, but no matter what, at noon and at nighttime, I want you to do this prayer because it's so essential to who we are. It's something I try to do. So my time at Rockhurst High School, okay, I'm head of campus ministry. All day long, there's like kids coming into the office, dropping off forms, apologizing for why they don't have their form, making up lame excuses for why they don't have their form. Father Laramie, I'll have it in. My mom, it's in the minivan, which is now at soccer practice for my brother, and my dad says he's going to drop it off later. Okay, just get me the form, and I'm sure we can work it out. So I'm making phone calls to set up the buses to bring the boys to the next junior retreat. I'm grading my own quizzes, okay? A great day, a lot of activity, a lot of excitement, a lot of people coming to talk to me. But I was pretty good about, okay, at lunchtime, I know I'm going to eat. I like eating. And on my way to the cafeteria, I'm going to stop into the chapel for 10 minutes to do my examination of conscience. Okay, and I'd say the next hour of my day after that examination was probably the most productive hour of my whole day. Okay, because I had time to sit with the Lord for a couple minutes. Okay, Lord, what's happened in this day? How have you been at work? Help me to see. And Lord, help me to look ahead to the next few hours. Okay, what are your hopes for me? What are your priorities, Lord? And how can I love and serve you as fully as possible over these next few hours? Okay, so I would sort of leave with, okay, I got to do these 3 things before the school day ends. Okay, so a little overview. Something they do on the announcements at SLUH High, every day now or every Friday? They do a short examination of conscience. Something we did at Rockhurst, especially during Lent and Advent. Also, you got a little card on your table. It's a little yellow card if you want to take a peek at that, follow along. You know, I can even sign them afterwards if that would help you. Okay, a little yellow card. Step 1, begin. Okay, and this is always the challenge, right? Like you want to start a new exercise program in 2016. Hey, that's a great thing. The most important thing is actually beginning that exercise program, because it might be a great plan, a great idea, but you got to actually do it for it to work, okay? And I'm going to recommend sort of some Catholic steps to help you do this, okay? With posture, with some even physical action, okay? These classic Catholic prayers, beginning in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, okay? There's a way like when your body starts praying, like your mind is going to catch up, okay? Or if you're at home, okay, let's say it's on a weekend, or maybe you work from home, go ahead and kneel. Okay, when I kneel, okay, my body's sort of saying okay, I guess we're starting to pray now. Okay, here we go. And then my mind and my heart are sort of wait, we're getting some kind of information from the knees. Okay, yeah, let's shift into prayer mode. Okay, here we go. To begin with something simple like a Hail Mary or an Our Father. Okay, step one is just begin. Step two, thanksgiving. Okay, this is my favorite part of this prayer. Lord, help me to look on this day with thanksgiving. Help me to see your grace, your action this day, Lord. Okay, we all have challenges with, kids, work, finances, and so on. Those are real, but okay, Lord, you made me, you love me. I trust that you are at work in my life, and Lord, just help me to see a few of the blessings you've given me. So for our experience here today, we'll focus on 24 hours. So it's about 10 a.m. right now. So from now, 24 hours ago, so 10 a.m. on Saturday. Look with the Lord, look on this day with gratitude. Step three, struggle and sorrow. Hey, acknowledge it, name it. Okay, and hold it up to his light, okay? Lord, I have a family member who's sick. Lord, I got this meeting with the theology department. Those can always be a little complicated, so I'm going to need your help in that area, Lord. But to sort of not just think about these things, but to really bring them into a dialogue with the Lord. Lord, if I hold this up to your light, sometimes these things change a little bit. Okay, so the image you see there is a stained glass window from St. Peter's Basilica. Okay, it's only a work of art when there's light behind it. If it's dark outside, that's a piece of black glass. You sort of look at it and say like, oh, what is that? Did they make a mistake there, or is that under repair? No, it's meant to have light behind it. Then the meaning comes through. Okay, so perhaps as I'm praying about somebody in my family who's ill, okay, Lord, I ask for your blessings on Grandpa. Lord, give him your strength and peace. And Lord, thank you that I've been able to spend some time with him recently, that this has been an opportunity for our family to come together, okay, to love and support him and to spend time with one another. So, Lord, that sorrow is real, and yet when I hold this up to your light, this changes a little bit. I can see your grace at work here. Okay. Step 4, petitions. Okay. Ask for blessings. Okay, Lord, I've got this thing coming up. This issue I've been struggling with. Okay, I had to give this kid a jug in the morning. He wasn't happy about it. His parents are already mad at me because the kid has a low grade, and now I'm going to have to deal with that. So, okay, Lord, bless that family. Bless my conversation with them, which maybe will happen tomorrow or the day after. Okay, we have these angels and saints with us all the time. St. Ignatius, St. Louis of France, Mary our Mother, to ask them for help and for grace. Okay, step 5, look ahead 24 hours. Okay, Lord, help me to have hope and trust as you've been at work in my life in this last 24 hours. Lord, I trust that you're going to be at work in the next 24 hours until I do my next examen. Okay, whether that's at nighttime or at noontime. Okay, Lord, I love you, I trust you. And what are your priorities? Okay, Lord, I've got some stuff coming up. It's okay to sort of look at your calendar at this point, like, hey, that's fine. I mean, we all have important things we're doing, the Lord knows that. But Lord, of these things coming up, which ones do you care about the most? Okay, and how do you want me to approach them? And then I close with another maybe classic prayer, maybe a Hail Mary, something familiar. Okay, hey, ready? Okay, I'll give you, 3 or 4 minutes. I'm going to sit down for a moment. Ask you to just quietly kind of reflect on these steps. You've probably been doing it as I've been talking, but if you're a little person and quiet is hard for you, hey, that's okay, because Jesus was a little person too. He knows, okay? But even if you're little, you could probably still think about, hey, what's one thing I'm grateful for from the past day? What's one thing I'm sad about? And what's one thing I'm excited about coming up ahead? So you got your little prayer card. If you need a reminder, I'm going to sit down. So 3 or 4 minutes, examine. Give you another half minute, and then we'll close with a prayer together. Lord, thank you for this day. We ask your blessings on the day ahead. We ask your mother to be with us as we pray. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. More highlights. So, the examen, I'm not just a promoter. I'm also a buyer myself. Like, I do the examen. Same with confession. I don't just hear confessions. I also go to confession. Just these little images of simply Jesus asking, hey, how are you doing? And then to tell him about your day. Okay? And you could say, well, Lord, you're all-knowing. You already know how my day went. But Jesus could respond to me, yeah, but you don't know how your day went. But if we talk about it for a few minutes, I'm going to help you see my action, my grace in your day. That heart to heart. So, simple, friendly conversation, my heart to his heart, Mary's heart to my heart. What more? White House. Hey, come on down. We have a beautiful spot, 80 acres on the Mississippi River. Many of you have been there before, and hey, come on back again. These 3-day retreats, which we offer weekends year-round, and then we have some during midweek as well, so Monday to Thursday, basically. Also some things like Advent and Lent days of reflection, so just a one-day thing, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We have 3 of those during Advent, and those are all totally booked already, but we'll have more of them during Lent. We have a Jesuit alumni retreat that happens in early January for SLUH High grads, SLUH U grads. That is totally booked, but there's lots of other open slots. A lot of this is run through parishes, so you might check with your own parish, like, hey, do we have a weekend that some people go? But also you can just, hey, grab a friend, grab your brother-in-law, grab your sister-in-law, and, come on down. Just give us a call. We got a fancy website. It's got all sorts of nice info. There's an online video starring me. If you want to hear even more from me, that's an opportunity. Also, I'm giving a number of retreats. I give about one a month. Again, a few I haven't listed up there because they're already sold out, but I know there's openings for men's retreats in March, April, and July. There's some women's retreats also mixed in there that I'm giving. I gave my first ever women's retreat about a week ago, and hey, it went fine, Nice ladies. Okay, final thoughts. That's probably about it. Joe, anything else I should say or not say? Okay. I'm going to hand it over to Dave Laughlin, who was my first boss as a Jesuit. I spent one semester at Rockhurst High when I was a 22-year-old punk kid Jesuit, and he was the principal then and was a nice mentor for me. I was sort of a teacher's aide and helped on some retreats, so a great honor to once again see Mr. President. So Dave Laughlin, thanks.
Thank you, Father Laramie. We appreciate you being with us today for the celebration of Mass and to talk a little bit about Ignatian spirituality and your good work at White House. My first order of business this morning is something that the Alumni Board decided actually last May, and just with a coordination of schedules, we weren't able to actually give this award to an alumnus, so we're doing so today. And I was not able to do that at the first meeting of the year. I was not able to be here. The video of the Alumni Board meeting was broadcast. My daughter had a minor surgery that day, so I was sitting, waiting in the recovery room. So I watched Mrs. Mary Russo, our science chair, give you all more information than you could have possibly imagined about our science program, and she is extremely good and extremely high energy. I have a son who's a junior who just made his junior retreat at White House the week of Thanksgiving, and he's not had Mrs. Russo for class. And I said, Joe, how was retreat? He said, it was awesome. Dad, do you know Mrs. Russo? I said, well, yes, I do, son. She's high energy. I said, you could ask our alumni board. I think they know the same thing. I want to begin before giving you just a school update and recognize one of our alums from the alumni board with the Father John J. Devine Alumni Service Award. This award was established in 1974, and it is presented to an outstanding alumnus in recognition of his dedicated service to St. Louis University High School. It perpetuates the memory of the Alumni Board's longtime director and chaplain, and I believe founder, Father John J. Devine. He founded this board in 1947, and before that time, he worked diligently to maintain communication between St. Louis U High and the alumni who were serving our country during World War II. The tradition of loyalty and love for the school among its alumni was solidified during this turbulent time under Father Devine's leadership to the school in his role as alumni chaplain. The recipient that's been selected to receive this award is a member of the class of 1972, who's here today with some members of his family. And before I say more, I'd like to invite him up to the stage with me. That is Mr. Mark Wilhelm. We welcome today, joining Mark, his wife Debbie, his daughter Bree, and son-in-law Patrick, and his grandson Luke, class of something in the future. His son Nick, who's a member of the class of 2007, was not able to be here today, and Mark's late father George was a member of the class of 1935. Mark grew up in the Baden neighborhood in North St. Louis, carpooling with Junior Bills, who grew up in his area. During his time in St. Louis U High, he was a member of the swim and water polo programs. Back then, water polo was a winter sport, and so after practice, Mark would walk from Forest Park to Kings Highway and then go north on I-70 on the bus with cold and frozen hair, but with that SLUH High backpack. This award, again, recognizes an alum for his service to the school. Mark's service is much, many, and often. When his son was a student, he was an officer in the Fathers Club who led community service projects, social activities. He was also the president of the Fathers Club. During that time, he also attended spring break service trips as part of our campus ministry outreach. Also during his son's time, Mark's wife Debbie co-chaired Cash Bar, which meant his entire family committed themselves to our school for that year. Mark is the CEO of Safety National Insurance, and from this position, he and his staff, including SLUH alums, and through Mark's efforts, brought to our students the opportunity to participate in Project Peanut Butter. This effort, established by a former SLUH parent and Washington University professor, Dr. Mark Maneri, works to solve world hunger through an enriched nutrient that shows a 90% success rate with those in poor countries who are starving. This nutrient can in turn be produced and stored on site, thus allowing its effectiveness to have a greater impact for good. Through Mark's efforts, our students participated in the Peanut Butter Project and held assemblies to hear from this founder, Dr. Maneri. Mark is a member of our Board of Trustees and over many years has served on the Budget and Finance Committee, the Endowment and Investment Committee, where he is currently chair, the Executive Committee, vice chair, and he is the former chair of our board. As a trustee, Mark has not only attended board meetings, but he has traveled to many meetings called by the Society of Jesus for the care of our school. He has attended meetings in California, Arizona, upcoming in Puerto Rico, in St. Louis, in Denver, and I put a bracket there because I couldn't remember the cities he'd been to for us. Mark has also been available to me in meeting with our alumni and seeking support for the school's mission, including this upcoming week where he's rearranged his schedule to join me in New York. Mark and Debbie, additionally outside of St. Louis, have hosted alumni gatherings in Florida for the school. Mark was the co-chair of our strategic planning process entitled Imagining 18, a process that engaged our board, our faculty, many alumni, and parents to plan for the future care of our school. As we are currently moving on the silent phase of our bicentennial campaign for St. Louis University High School, Mark has again committed himself to support the high school by agreeing along with his wife to be a co-chair for this important endeavor. In describing this award, that is an alumnus for his dedicated service to the school, we can think of the outstanding terminology utilized for stewardship in our Catholic community: time, talent, and treasure. Over decades, Mark has committed himself to countless hours on behalf of St. Louis U High. He has committed himself to service projects, counseling programs, budget planning, Father's Club, Cash Bar. Additionally, Mark and his wife Debbie have contributed over $1 million of gifts to support the mission of St. Louis U High. Like you, he has participated in phonathons, reunion gathering efforts, and hosted events in his home. His deep love for our mission at St. Louis U High is clear, and I am proud on behalf of the Alumni Board, Mark, to present to you the Father John J. Divine Award.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. I didn't know I did that much. First of all, thank you, David, for the kind words. Really appreciate that. And thank you, Alumni Board, for bestowing this honor on me. You know, the institution, the school, St. Louis U High, very much appreciates the work of this board. Community building here at the school, bridging generations of alumni in a way that, you know, probably no one else can do. So well done to you, and thank you very much on behalf of the Board of Trustees. Just like all the gentlemen, I imagine it's always been gentlemen, but all the people that have won this award have been bestowed this award in the past. We didn't start out trying to earn this. We just simply had a fondness, a love for the school that drove our efforts. We love the school, and all of you, by your presence here and your efforts, obviously love the school too. But why do we love the school? Sure, great memories, great times, proud of our academic achievements, but we all know it's more than that. It's in the core of who we are. And I think it's because we're thrown into this institution in our most formative years. We enter as children, and we're formed as men by the time we leave this school. We walk in the door and we're challenged academically beyond what we could have imagined. We quickly are humbled and learn that we're not the next coming of Einstein. We're also stressed with all the things adolescent young men are faced with socially, and in terms of athletics, extracurriculars, and in my case, finding a way to work 20 hours a week to have some money in my pocket while I went here. So we're thrown into this situation, a crucible, if you will, where we have to learn an extraordinary amount of discipline if we're going to survive. And in addition to that, we're thrown into this cauldron with people from every socioeconomic background. And that's, you just don't see that in neighborhood schools and school districts. You know, most of the people that attend that come from pretty much the same socioeconomic background. In this school, when I attended here, it was the case. When you attended here, it's the case, and it's just as much the case now, with over a third of our students getting financial aid. So you're thrust into this situation, and because of the socioeconomic backgrounds, you learn about the challenges facing people different than yourself, and that brings into focus society's, their problems, their challenges, society's problems and challenges, and then the world's problems and challenges. So we have a very unique experience here, and I haven't even yet mentioned probably the most important thing, and that's our formation in spirituality and morality that provides a foundation for our lives. We witnessed it here today with the Mass, and then just recently with Father Laramie and the examen. Very powerful stuff. So all of these things combine to make us very proud to say, when someone asks, what high school did you go to? You say St. Louis University High, in a very proud and hopefully not boastful way. And with that, I'd just like to say, Dave touched on the work we've been doing for the last couple of years now, I guess, in terms of strategic planning, the Imagining 18. Tremendous amount of work has gone into that, and a lot of people in this room have participated into it. You know, we're kicking off we're well into the silent phase of that campaign, and as our trip to New York is in front of us to try to rope in some alumni up there. But each of you will be approached if you haven't been approached, and I hope you'll dig as deep as you possibly can to continue to make this experience available to young men such as me and such as yourselves. Oh, and one last thing. Dave mentioned the carpools. I was never able to drive a car to St. Louis U High for my circumstances, but a couple of those guys that gave me rides are in this audience, and I'd like to extend my appreciation. Ed and Terry, I appreciate it very much. Anyway, thank you very much again. I know you have a full agenda. Good luck.
He missed him around that side of the tree, Dan. Thank you, and again, congratulations, Mark. I have a relatively brief school update. I know that the staff warned me that today's the last Rams game, and when they said last, it was italicized and underlined. I don't know why, for the year. So just we've had a great school year. In every respect. I think the spirit in the school is very high, and the spirit gets measured in a lot of different ways. You know, if you look at the fine arts, we had a great play production. We just had a choral and band concert and dance recitals. We had very successful fall sports seasons in terms of where teams finished and how they did, and the enthusiasm of student sections. And now we're rolling right into the winter season of big crowds at hockey and basketball, and our wrestlers are working hard. So those things are always measurements. We also have had a full plate of retreats that have taken place for the year. I mentioned White House. We reorganized our calendar for the first time this fall to not have a conflict between student retreats and the academic calendar, and so we did many retreats during the week of Thanksgiving. And as Mark alluded to, I think the most important work we can do in the context of all the other good work we do is help those young people know and be grounded in their faith in God, and see that develop. So a lot of great things for our school year. Just a few highlights. We've had 21 students recognized this fall by the National Merit Scholarship Corporation. We have an average ACT of 30.3, which is the highest in my 11 years. And I think or more importantly, the ACT does a measurement called college readiness, where they look at the success preparation of a graduating high school senior to achieve B's or higher in college. And it's based on a lot of their data, and our rate is about 93%. And when you consider that most of those ACT scores, or many of them, are coming from our juniors, I think that's quite a statement about their overall preparation for college. We were one of 7 private schools and the only Jesuit high school in the country to receive the United States Department of Education's National Blue Ribbon School Award, and I was fortunate to attend a session with Mr. Tom Beckvar, our academic assistant principal in Washington, D.C., to receive that award. We have a number of new emerging programs, leadership, things of that nature that are stemming from different parts of strategic planning, thinking, and just changing of the guard, if you will. But we've established a college counseling director, and a man, Kevin Kremens, who has come to us from Washington University. And there's a lot of work to be done in terms of how we want to care for our students. But anecdotally, when Father Laramie was leading the exam, and I was thinking about 24 hours ago, yesterday morning, we host an annual Christmas party for Loyola Academy. So all of the young men from Loyola Academy were here with about 50 of our students, and we play games and act crazy and consume way too many calories. It's a fun morning. But one of our seniors came up and he said, Mr. Laughlin, I need to leave early. I have an interview with MIT today. And I said, oh, okay, Chris. And I said, are you ready? He said, I wasn't, but then I sat down with Mr. Kremens this last week, and I really feel like he prepared me. And so that's an early beginning of a program we hope will grow well to care for our students. Father Bob Poirier, who's an alum, class of 1965, has come back to St. Louis U High, and he is working in our counseling department and student support services. He's really trying to care for kids who need special attention, sometimes for just short periods of time. But he's been great to add back to our counseling department, and that means in our counseling department now we have 2 of our 7 Jesuits who are working with that personal care for students. We had one of our students, seniors, who is actually a graduate of Loyola Academy, who was selected to be one of the keynote speakers for what's called the Ignatian Family Teach-In. This is a national annual gathering of Jesuit high schools, colleges, and universities across the country. This year was in Washington, D.C., working on faith and justice, and Brendan Underwood, who's a Loyola and St. Louis U High man, was that keynote speaker. We were very proud of him. We also, I like to give you an admissions update this time of year. We have very strong interest in the class of, I think it's 2020 is where we are. So we have about 315 or so applications, and there's always a lot of reconciliation. So I think that number will only go up. And I think that's important because it seems to be an ever-growing conversation on the streets of St. Louis is how is enrollment in different schools. And there's no question that the market and the demographic and the financial challenge of private Catholic high school has shifted in my time. And I think it's particularly important that the strength of interest in our school is there in a year that the Archdiocesan Catholic grade schools had 100 fewer boys. So the efforts that you all do to talk about our school, to champion, and I know I look across the room for many of you who've said, hey, there's somebody I know, they're here, they've been directed to the school, is really helpful, as well as all of the overall admissions efforts that we make. And so I implore you to continue to champion the high school, send people with questions. We certainly are blessed to continue to have such strong interest in the high school. I want to thank you and add thanks to what Tim said about thanking your assistants for help with phone-a-thons and scholarship golf outings and Giving Tuesdays and reunions. Giving Tuesday just passed, and you were called upon to help possibly make a gift, but promote and lead. We had 266 gifts for $22,500. Well, wait a minute. Since somebody else rounded to the penny, I will too. $22,575.13. I have no idea why somebody rounded to 13 cents. But Tim, I do want you to know when I was signing thank you letters, I kept sitting there saying, why are so many guys giving $19.99? I felt like we were a mortgage sale or something. What, $19.99? Now I understand. So, but I think that Giving Tuesday is reflective of the type of broad generosity that we have. The most common gift was $10. An average gift was $85. A median gift was $25, and the largest gift was $1,200. And we had 13 first-time donors to the school. And so your efforts, again, helping to draw people in. I always like to do the math on those and say that's about 1.5 students who are attending our school this year. I don't cut our students in half, but you get the math. But no good deed goes unpunished, so Cash-Ba is right around the corner. So we're taking sponsorships and all of those great things. If you can help with items, etc., I know that the volunteers who coordinate that are working hard. I'll be happy to take some questions, but I want to share with you a letter that I received at Thanksgiving, and you'll hear at the very end that this person is asking me to share it. But for whatever achievement that we are able to attain with the good skills of our students and the hard work of our faculty and staff, and whatever grace we receive in growing in our relationship with God, those things are all the purpose and the context for any of the efforts we ask you, men and families, to do on behalf of financial support for this school. It goes to those young people, and it is said better by this parent than it is me, and I'm sharing with you what she asked me to share. Dear Mr. Laughlin, my son is a freshman at SLUH. He graduated from Sacred Heart in Florissant. During the summer of his 7th grade year, he went to Upward Bound, and then he set his hopes on attending SLUH. He worked very hard and graduated. More importantly, I thought the program tested his abilities and fostered his confidence. His father and I were very pleased with the program and proud of our son's accomplishments. However, I recall sitting in the theater auditorium for the graduation ceremony with tears in my eyes, staring at the sea of 12 and 13-year-old boys all dressed up, looking so proud, and thinking to myself, there is no way that I can send my son to SLUH, financially speaking. I reflected on how hard it was to pay grade school tuition, which was just a small fraction of SLUH's tuition. I always focused on giving my son a Catholic education like my parents provided for me. My main focus was to always keep God in front of my son's life. My focus was to send him to a Catholic grade school, and then if I could, to send him to a Catholic high school. Even though I knew this was a financial challenge, I wanted to find a way to make this happen for my son. As his 8th grade year started, reality started sinking in, and I thought about how I could potentially delay my decision on telling my son there was no way he could attend SLUH even if he was accepted. Thinking with my mind and not my heart, I was so convinced that there was no way I could finance my son's education unless I applied for loans each year. So I started to focus daily on finding more ways of cutting down on expenses and anything that was not essential in an effort to have monies to put toward his high school education. I was always determined to send him to a Catholic high school, but my budget plan, even with my efforts to save, would be about $7,000 a year, and that was going to be very difficult for me to finance. I reached a point where I had to be honest and tell him that I wanted so much to send him to SLUH, but I wanted to relate to him the truth that there was a very strong chance I would not be able to afford it. It was hard to do, but I needed to be open and honest with him about the situation. As his SLUH acceptance letter arrived, I was still working when he called me, and I could hear and feel his smile, the biggest smile through the phone, that he was accepted. This was the most bittersweet news I had received in years. Wonderful in the sense that the high school that my son and I too wanted him to attend had officially extended him an offer. Bitter in the sense that I felt myself in my stomach in knots wondering how I was going to make this a reality for him. So with many prayers, a strong faith, and much hope, I wanted to find a way to make it work, and I consulted with Mr. Hannock and expressed my concerns early on. He educated me about the financial aid process. I completed the online process and submitted the information, not having any idea what kind of financial support I would receive. Then came the very good news. We were awarded with financial assistance toward tuition. I was overjoyed. This was going to make it possible for my son to attend SLUH. I still had to work towards financing his tuition, but the financial assistance provided made me breathe again. A weight on my shoulders and heart felt lifted that had been on my mind for a very long time. I knew this was a true gift from God. The gift from others to support my son's education at SLUH is something that I will forever be grateful for, and so will my son. I know each year I will work toward reaching the goal of sending my son to SLUH with my financial responsibility and with the dream of him graduating in 2019 with his fellow brothers. I wanted to find a way to tell you personally how grateful I am to all of the SLUH community. Excuse me. You should see me during commercials on TV. Who so generously and selflessly support families who otherwise would not be able to attend. I'm overwhelmed. I know I recognize it every day, and I know he recognizes it too. He knows many at SLUH have given him the opportunity. Please share my message with others. They are truly angels. And I want to thank the faculty and staff for the incredible journey. I'm so impressed with everything about SLUH. This, by the way, I thought, well, I wonder how this young man is doing. And like so many of these guys, he's smarter than my whole family for many generations. He has 4 A+ and 3 A's. Your work makes that possible. So thank you. God bless you. One note of trivia, I'll happily answer a few minutes of questions, and it's not really trivia, but I was really pleased to receive a gift today that I want to promote. I haven't read it, but I know it's good. Dr. Dan Schlafly is out here, and he just published through, I think you said St. Joseph's Press, a book called How the Jesuits Survived Their Suppression, the Society of Jesus and the Russian Empire. And if any of you know about Dr. Schlafly's great work, in all this regard, I am quite sure this is a great piece. And for the history of our school, as we approach our bicentennial, coming out of that suppression, our existence is pretty relevant to some of the earliest actions right thereafter, right, Doc? So St. Joseph's Press, I'm going to look at it, but I'll appreciate this gift to be given to the school, and I'll make sure that it's known that it's here for us to use as a resource. Thank you. I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody has, but I promise not to delay because there's a kickoff happening. Thank you. I wish you all a blessed Advent, a very Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. Have a great day. Thanks. Thanks, President.
All right, thank you very much, especially those mothers of young children who have lasted this whole time. I'm very impressed, my wife being included. David, thank you very much. Obviously, your passion for this school is unparalleled. We are grateful to have you as our leader, and thank you to Mark and his family for all that they've done for us. A few quick closing notes. There is a Christmas Eve Mass at 10 p.m. here in the SLUH Chapel, so keep that in mind. There's a reunion planning dinner on Thursday, January 21st for the classes of 56, 61, 71, 76, 81, 86, 91, and 96. Our next meeting for the Alumni Board will be Thursday, February 25th. The time may change. There's a basketball game that evening, but keep your eyes out for our guest speaker who will be announced shortly. And then as David mentioned, cash ball has been set for April 9th, my wife's birthday. I know she's thrilled about that. we will be there. And again, thank you all for all that you do. Keep SLUH in your thoughts and prayers. Keep them in your considerations for any year-end donations. Stick around, say hi, do whatever. If you could do us a favor, or do Kathy a favor, more likely, pick up your dishes, take them back over to the table where you started. We'll put you to work. And outside of that, I'm done. Thank you all very much.
us where to go. Thanks, Dan.